Now, Mr. President, on another matter. On January 6, 2021, I was seated in the chair right here on the floor of the Senate. A solemn constitutional proceeding was disrupted when a mob of thugs attacked and trashed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to overturn a free and fair election. I remember it well. Vice President Pence was sitting in the chair that you're occupying now. The Secret Service came in and literally physically removed him out that door in the chamber. They then announced to us to sit tight. This was going to be a safe room in the Capitol. There was a mob that was descending on the Capitol at the moment, but we were going to keep everybody safe. They warned us that there were a lot of people going to come into this chamber and line the walls because they wanted to be kept safe from this mob that was coming on the Capitol. 10 minutes later, a Capitol Hill policeman stood up and said, "New plans, we're all leaving immediately. Get out of your chairs and go out that door. We'll lead you to another safe room." That was the circumstance on January 6, 2021. I remember it well. And I saw the mob as we went outside. It was growing in size, thousands of people descending on the Capitol. That was a grim reality of that day. At the end of the day, the mob confronted the Capitol Hill police and the DC police who were here trying to keep this building and keep us safe as members of Congress who are doing our constitutional duty. Subsequent deaths of 5 of our law enforcement officers because of that mob and the injuries to approximately 140 others are a matter of fact, many of whom still pay a price today for what happened on January 6, 2021. And now the attackers have been pardoned by President Trump, who literally sent them from a rally to come up here. And what happened, happened. Considering the following individuals who received their pardon yesterday from President Trump. David Dempsey was one of them. He was convicted of assaulting police officers by using, quote, his hands, feet, flagpoles, crutches, pepper spray, broken pieces of furniture, anything else he could get his hands on as a weapon. Shane Jenkins was another one, convicted of using 2 tomahawk axes to break into the Capitol and assault police officers by throwing a wooden desk drawer and a flagpole at them. Kyle Fitzsimmons, convicted for 5 separate assaults against law enforcement, including one that caused career-ending and life-altering injuries to U.S. Capitol Sergeant Aquilino Ganell. And Kenneth Bonowitz, a member of the so-called Proud Boys, assaulted at least 6 officers, including placing one officer in a chokehold and lifting him up by the neck. Bonowitz injured one officer so severely that the officer has been forced to retire. All of these people were among the roughly 1,500 January 6 insurrectionists who President Trump pardoned last night. What happened to claims by a party of being in favor of law and order? Even President Trump's own vice president said last week, former senator from the state of Ohio, quote, if you committed violence on January 6, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned. That didn't apply last night. All of the people that I've just described were pardoned by President Trump for their actions in harming law enforcement in the Capitol on January 6th. Last week, I asked President Trump's Attorney General nominee, Pam Bondi, about pardoning January 6 rioters who assaulted police officers. She said, and I quote, I condemn any violence on a law enforcement officer. Don't we all? One of my Judiciary Committee Republican colleagues actually criticized me last week for even asking that question. Here's what he said. I find it hard to believe that the President of the United States would look at the facts that were used to convict the violent people on January the 6th and say it just an intemperate moment. It's absurd and an unfair hypothetical. The action by President Trump is unfair, but unfortunately, it's no longer hypothetical. These law enforcement officers risked their lives for us, literally all of us, not just the elected officials, but the thousands of visitors that come to this Capitol. They stand quietly by, watching to make sure that nothing goes wrong, but they are literally risking their lives for us every single day. What was the message last night of pardoning the people who assaulted them on January the 6th, 2021? Some people died as a result of that attack. Every American should be appalled. I am very unhappy, Mr. President, that these men and women who give us so much every single day are taken for granted so much. that the president pardoned those who attacked them. That was wrong. We should stand by those who stand by us, and we should be willing to say to them, thank you. Thank you for risking your lives for our visitors, for our members of Congress, and those who assaulted you were not just on a pleasant Capitol tour. They had a goal in mind, and that goal, unfortunately, was at the expense of these men and women in uniform. Mr. President, I yield the floor.